So in this video, I'm going to do my best not to sell something to you, not to sell myself to you to make you like me or agree with me. But I also recognize that's a trait within me. So maybe I will do that. And it's really here as a way to express this part of my story, seeing the part of me that is performative and that needs to sell you on me. I always feel like I'm in a deficit, I'm behind, and I need to sell you a way to get me back on neutral ground. I don't feel like I'm on neutral ground. I feel like I'm behind, and I need to sell you on why I should be on the same ground that you are on. And I'm sure there's lots of people that can understand that. Making a decision and then feeling very guilty about the decision they made. I very, very rarely get excited about any, and I mean this, any decision I make, because I think to myself, what is this decision going to cost me? This positive thing that I wanted to do, that I wanted to buy, what's it going to cost me beyond the cost of money? What's it going to cost me on a mental, emotional, psychological level? I have a lot of anticipation that the good things are going to implode and turn bad. And that's really hard, and I'm trying to learn where that comes from, and I'm trying to learn to overcome that. Just recently, I took a break from work. I needed that break from work. I need a longer break from work, I am sure, especially with the year that I've had. But I've took the amount of time that I thought was an adequate amount of time to ask for. And I had in mind that I would go to this place that I like to go to. It's an island off of mainland of Greece, which is very peaceful. It's one of my favorite places on earth. I've been twice now, 2 years in a row, and I wanted to go again this year. But I started having these ideas that I've had a rough year, and it's been really hard to feel the emotions in my body. It's been really hard to process things that I've went through. And I wanted to be tougher. I wanted to live in the environment that I'm living in and see, can I take a week off work and examine those areas of my life, the environments that I find myself in, process, feel the feelings, and overcome, go through. So I had this great idea. You know what? That's what I want to do. I don't get a chance to sit and watch TV shows and movies that I like. So I'm going to take this time to watch the TV shows, to watch the movies, to take it slow, to go to the gym and not feel like I got to rush back to go to work or rush through that coffee and book so I can get ready for work and all of that. I just want to be in the environment and experience taking it slow inside the environment. That was the decision that I came to. And then very shortly after, I started thinking, well, that was stupid. If I went to the island, I would have had a reset. I would have given my body the relaxation, my central nervous system, the healing and the restoration that it needs. I don't have a great story to tell people. All the people that I work with, my clients, when they ask me how was my week off work, and tell them I did virtually nothing, and I started thinking that was a mistake. So just the story I told you about the environment that I'm in, that I need to do this, that I want to take it slow and watch the movies and watch the TV shows. I want to build the story up because I feel like it's not enough for me just to make the decision and tell you what I did. I'm already anticipating the judgment that's going to potentially come with the decisions that I make, and it's fearing other people's judgment. So I'm already building these stories in my mind about what to tell people about what I'm doing. I feel like I need permission from other people to make the decisions that I want to make. And I do that a lot. I have these decisions I want to make, and I'll reach out to people. Hey, I'm thinking of doing this. I'm unsure. I feel this way. And I'm thinking maybe I should do this because of X, Y, Z. And I'm waiting for their support. I'm waiting for them to say, great decision. I totally see it. I understand why you're making that decision. But people aren't going to do that because people have their ideas of life, and they're not always going to agree with your decisions. They're not always going to understand your decisions. So therefore, whenever I feel a negative response, and it could be the slightest little thing, a little tone, a little word, something I'll pick up on, once I see a not so supportive response, that can cause me to really crumble emotionally, internally. And then I'm starting to doubt my decision. I'm starting to doubt myself. I'm starting to get angry at myself for making the decision that I made. So therefore, before I even ask you about your opinion about the decision I'm going to make, I have to make a pitch. I have to sell you on something. Even in the smallest level, I have to sell you something. I have to explain why I want to take more time off work. I can't just ask outright, can I take 2 weeks? Can I take a month? God forbid. Can I take a whole month off of work? I think the world needs a year at least minimum off of work. But I have to sell you on why I need that time off work. And I have to convince myself that I need that time off work. And then everything becomes like it's not enough. You feel like you're not enough in the environments you find yourself in, the conversations you find yourself in, the friendships, the relationships. It then starts to trickle into feeling like a performance. And I think that's where a lot of us crumble, whenever we can sort of tell that if we're needing to sell ourselves, sell a story, sell why you hope it's okay to make this decision, well then somewhere lying in that story is the performer, is the performance. So it's very hard to feel yourself in your body, which we need to feel ourselves in our body. We need to feel okay within the walls of our body, within our mind. But whenever we feel like we're performing, it gets really difficult. And it even gets difficult when you're by yourself. If you're like me, if you experience this, it even gets difficult when you're by yourself. You even start to try to convince yourself and sell yourself to yourself and perform when you're alone. You almost build this story and then you're out of touch from reality. People say you have to accept things where they are, accept reality. And I believe it's so true. Somehow you have to accept. And for some people, that's very easy. It's black, it's white, or it's gray, but whatever color it is, I'm in that color and I accept that color. I accept where I'm at. But whenever you're trying to distort and change your environment, whenever you're trying to sell yourself and inside of that selling, performing and trying to outperform yourself and create stories around everything to make yourself feel okay, well then you're so detached, you're so pulled away, you're so out of touch with reality, so you don't even know what you're accepting because you don't even know what's real. And it's very scary if you're a person that sells themselves, that has to sell themselves in every little decision they make, and make everybody around them understand, over-explaining, feeling overwhelmed and needing to not only sell to them but convince yourself. If you're someone inside that bubble of selling, it does indeed get very hard to accept where you're at, and it gets very scary. It's very scary to experience a life where you're not selling yourself. To just say, I think this, I'm going to do that, I want this. It gets very, very scary to do that without having a pitch, having a massive story connected to that so that you can feel okay with the decisions you make, so you don't feel like your world is crumbling and collapsing in on itself, fearing the judgment from all around you that will come and people saying no to you. Don't agree with that, don't like that pitch, go and deny that time off, go and deny you what you need. And that brings me to the last point. We have to give ourselves what we need. We have to fight for what we need, and we have to have the courage to do that and believe that on the other side of that is a better version of us. Because if you have a brain wired the way my brain is wired, and you're probably wired the same if you've made it this long through this video, if you have a brain that's wired the way my brain is wired, it will anticipate the fall. The fall is always coming. Crumbling will happen. So you also have to be courageous enough to not let that fall happen, not catastrophize too soon. And believing that maybe there is something good that will come from asking and not selling, and fighting for what you believe you need, because you've probably not really received a whole lot of times in life what you need. You've probably been shut down by your parents, your family, your friend circle, your colleagues, and I'm not blaming those people. Maybe it's our energy that's been created from a young age of traumatic experiences that's generating more of the same happening in that loop repeating. I'm not going to blame other people, but maybe you've lived a life where your needs haven't been met and you haven't had to fight for what you need. I speak from experience. I completely empathize and realize that I am the same, and it's a scary, scary, really scary thing for me to ask for what I need. But the question is, what happens if we don't do that? And I hope that I can be some sort of support by you seeing me seeing you, and the views and the comments and the likes, whatever it may be. Even just the views makes me think that hopefully maybe someone relates, and hopefully maybe they can believe that I'm a support network by saying, I see you with all of the energy and being in my body and my whole 37 years of existence. I see it, I feel it, and I'm terrified too. And through my story, support you by being seen within yours. And we slowly start getting rid of some of the stories, getting into center, getting closer to reality, or maybe we can accept what that is. Maybe we can fight for and not need to sell to get what we need.